When you think of fire, what do you think of? Do you see it as a symbol of warmth, like in a cozy fireplace during the winter? Or do you see it as a threat, like in a forest fire, destroying everything in its path? Well, to the Aztec Empire, fire was simultaneously both of those things. The Aztecs also had a reputation of believing in many, many different gods or deities. They believed in over 200 different gods and goddesses. There was literally a god for everything. Well, one of the things that they had special gods for is fire. Fire was worshipped heavily to the Aztecs. They believed that it was the first thing that was created in the world. It was treated very seriously. Their worship of fire even led to some pretty interesting inventions that we still use to this day, but we'll get to that in a second. In this video, we're going to be talking about the 3 great deities of fire in the Aztec Empire and why they were important. But before we start, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button because we're coming in hot with the first Aztec deity, Chantico. Yeah, try saying that 3 times fast. But as always, I should apologize to any cultural fans that might be offended with my pronunciation. We're doing our best here. For obvious reasons, I'm going to be referring to him as the Old God, a nickname he's referred to in some versions of the story. The Old God was the Aztec god of fire, time, and the afterlife. He was worshipped as one of the most powerful deities in the Aztec world. According to Aztec mythology, the Old God was born during the creation of the world, which explains why he has so much power. The Old God came from a hearth located in the Aztec world, like a true badass. He arrived on Earth in a pillar of fire. He became responsible for moving cycles of time, the sun, and the stars. In other words, the Aztec used the Old God to explain why the day turns to night. As the god of fire, the Old God was also believed to live in the hearth of every home. His fire was considered the source of warmth, light, and energy that supported life. On top of this and the time thing, he was clearly a workaholic. In honor of this Aztec deity, a permanent fire was made in the homes of Aztec civilians for good luck. As the god of the afterlife, the Old God was really connected to the idea of resurrection and the rebirth of life. He was often invoked during funeral-related rituals and was believed to guide the souls of the deceased to the afterlife, where they would be transformed and reborn. The second fire deity of the bunch is Chantico. Thankfully, this one is easier to pronounce. Chantico was the Aztec goddess of fire and the hearth. She was worshipped as a complex goddess who had the power to create both life-giving fire and destructive fire. In other words, she was probably a Gemini. On one hand, Chantico was looked up to for providing warmth, home, and fertility. She was the protector of homes and fire, the very one used for cooking and providing warmth. This was Chantico's good side. Now, when it comes to her bad side, what makes Chantico different from the Old God is that she was also the deity of volcanoes. As the deity of volcanoes, Chantico was able to create violent eruptions that could wipe out whole towns. You didn't want to mess with her. As much as she was loved, she was also feared. Offerings were constantly made to Chantico by the Aztecs in order to make sure that they were on her good side. Apart from being the goddess of fire and volcanoes, Chantico also had a side gig. She was also considered the guardian of women and children. She was summoned during childbirth and prayed to for protection. That means, like the Old God, Chantico was a busy god. The last fire deity of the trio is Shalot. Shalot was the god of fire like the other 2, but he was connected to lightning, death, transformation, and even sickness as well. Unlike the other 2, he had a very unusual appearance. Shalot was often represented as a canine creature, resembling a dog or a coyote, with a little flair. He had reversed feet and an elongated snout as well. Okay, enough about the poor god's appearance. Let's talk about what he did. Shalot was believed to have been responsible for the flames that make up volcano lava and lightning. He was also associated with sunsets. The Aztecs believed that Shalot's journey to the underworld started with the sun. As it went down, he was guarding and protecting the sun on its journey. Because of this, if any Aztec had to do some serious traveling, Shalot was the god they prayed to for protection. Shalot was also known as a shapeshifter. Since he's a god of transformation, Shalot symbolized change and evolution. He was called upon for protection against major life changes like childbirth and death, in order to protect the souls on their journey through different worlds. In other words, Shalot may have had a scary appearance, but he was a complete softie at heart. He was a big protector who just wanted each soul to be safe on their journey, and like Chantico, he was known to be a complex but fair god. The Aztecs worshipped these gods because of their need for fire. Fire was so important to the Aztecs that they were constantly making offerings and even had a special fire ceremony. This event, called the New Fire Ceremony, took place every 52 years and required the Aztecs to put out all fires across the empire. New fires would be lit after a certain immoral ritual. Yikes. Anyways, the fires that they created eventually shaped the invention of a fire drill. This invention paved the way for how humans use fire to this day. Fun fact, the Aztecs' relationship with fire also led to the invention of popcorn. The Aztecs were a fiercely innovative group of people with a flaming passion for fire. Their worship of the three gods, the Old God, Chantico, and Shalot, emphasizes how important fire was to the Aztecs. Thanks to their love of fire, their invention of the fire drill paved the way for how humans use fire today, and even for your movie night favorite. The next time you're turning on your stove or ready to watch a movie with a big old bowl of popcorn, remember that you have the Aztecs to thank. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, make sure you're subscribed so that you're not missing out on all things of legends.